item is the adoption of the agenda.
I move we approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is the minutes from the November 14th meeting.
Move to approve as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the November 14th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No audience. And on the entry property, it looks like we had one from previous. Oh, okay. No, that was later. Yeah. Looks like we struck a gas line that was cleared by the gas utility company. Was this putting in a water line, making a water line repair?
Repair, yeah.
Okay. And then in that case, do we notify the gas company and say, hey, you know, you marked this clear, but there's actually an active line here? Okay. All right. Thank you. So with that, we'll start in reports, and it looks like Cody first.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Morning.
I have one action item for the board today. It's a water main replacement on College Street from Lafayette to Grant. Budget is $270,000. The majority of this section of main was installed between 1930 and 1934, with the short section on the west end being installed in 1954. The 6-inch main has failed several times in recent years, and a new 6-inch C900 plastic water main will be installed. My recommendation is a motion to replace the 6-inch cast iron main on College Street with the new 6-inch C900 main using in-house labor and equipment. And looking at our records, they've had about 30 breaks in that section in the
Last month.
well, it seems like the last month, but yeah, like the last 22 years, they've
Yeah.
had about 30 of them through there.
Do you know approximately how many total feet that is?
I don't right off
Okay.
the top of my head.
Yep, that's fine.
When would you start, and how long is that project gonna take, you think?
I'm not sure on the start date on that. Grant hadn't really set that in stone,
Yeah.
but I think they're gonna, start one crew on the east end and one crew on the west end to, move
Meet in the
along a
middle.
little quicker. Yeah.
I'd say, busy street and getting into a bad time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was planning on starting till spring.
Good.
Probably. He just wanted to get approval to get the materials ordered. The materials for this project and several more will be paid for out of that DNR water infrastructure grant.
Okay.
So he's trying to, we have to have that money spent by June 30th, so he's trying to get some of these approved, and then we'll get the materials, all this main stuff ordered. So we've got it on hand. DNR is fine with that, but you're gonna see a lot of water main replacement projects
Okay.
coming up.
And does that main just lay predominantly in the south lane of College, all that way?
I think so.
That's what I've always seen.
That's where
is
most of the work's been, it looks
yeah,
like,
it's
on the
always on the
south
south.
side.
Long overdue.
Make a motion to replace the 6-inch cast iron main on College Street with the new 6-inch C900 main using in-house labor and equipment.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to replace the 6-inch cast iron main on College Street with a new 6-inch C900 main using in-house labor and equipment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I don't have anything else to add from what's in there, but I'd be happy to answer any other questions if you have any.
Any more questions for Cody? All right, thank you, Cody. Travis, good morning.
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 I have a couple action items for you this morning. First one being replace the filter drain valves and actuators, and also the filter surface wash valves and actuators. These were both budgeted items. We did get 3 bids, and actually all 3 of them actually came in under budget. So my recommendation is motion to accept the bid from Alliance Pump and Mechanical Service in the total amount of $101,926.
Have you worked with them before?
Yes, they were the crew that did the last ones
Okay.
we did last year.
I make a motion to accept the bid from Alliance Pump and Mechanical Service in the total amount of $101,926.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the bid from Alliance Pump and Mechanical Service in the total amount of $101,926. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. The next one is acid disposal, which it is a budgeted item also. We do have approximately 2,200 gallons of this. It's been sitting in a bulk tank for a number of years, and we just need to get rid of it, basically. So, motion to request bids for the acid disposal.
Be kinda nice to get that out of your way.
Yes, definitely.
We need to get rid of it.
Make a motion to request bids for the acid disposal.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to request bids for the acid disposal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
You can get rid of that whole system too then? All-
Probably, which I'll have them rinse out the tank and all that, and that way we can do something with it and get rid of it.
All that, isn't it still up, just?
Yeah,
Sitting
it's,
there,
it's all just sitting
doesn't-
there and not, it's in the way and everything else, so.
Just demo
So
it.
I'd like to just get it out of your way.
Sounds like a plan to me. Just an update on the doors. Crew's still on site again today to address the issues on the punch list. And that's going well, so I don't know if he'll get finished today or not, but it's only one guy, so. But he's taking care of everything that we had on the list and everything, so.
Did you get the door sign ordered?
Do what?
Did you get the door sign ordered?
No, I didn't.
Anything else for Travis? Thank you, Travis. Did I skip? Here we go. Megan, good morning.
Did they vote on that last motion? Okay.
Yeah, for the,
And then there was a vote. Okay. We're just making sure.
making sure, okay. Megan?
Need more coffee this morning. I
Yeah.
didn't hear it.
Good morning.
Morning. Do have one action item for you this morning. There should be in your packet a draft amendment to our personnel policy, the addition of a new section regarding rest periods. This is something we've been looking at for some time. Our folks are called on to perform emergency overtime work at all hours of the day and night, and those can sometimes add up to some lengthy work hours. So what we've done to date is certainly allow folks who need to take time away from work to do so, but if that was part of their the next day, regularly scheduled work day, they would have to take paid leave benefits off in order to be paid for that time. So we've been looking at a policy that would allow for that rest period when certain working hour thresholds are reached, to allow for that rest period that overlaps their regularly scheduled workday to be paid without the use of their earned paid leave benefits. So what the policy we've drafted would do is if they work 2 or more hours between midnight and 5 a.m., it would allow for an equivalent rest period so long as the next day is a regularly scheduled work day. Obviously, if it's Saturday, the next day's Saturday, there's no need, for example. And then also, it would elaborate on our 16-hour work rule. For many years now, we've tried to limit any continuous work to a maximum of 16 hours, and then have them take 8 hours of rest. What this drafted policy would add to that is that if any part of that 8-hour rest period overlaps their next regularly scheduled workday, then to pay just those hours that overlap the workday. Gotten a lot of valuable input from management as well as some employees, so I want to thank everybody for that. I think think this made it better than it otherwise would have been out of the gate, so. And also reviewed about 7 months of payroll records, just to kind of try to look at what kind of impact this would have. And I did see 5 events that occurred that would have, if this policy had been in place, that would have triggered some rest time. Anywhere from a single individual working to a crew of 5, anywhere from 2 to 5 hour rest period that would have been triggered as far as paid rest period away from a work shift. So we have got a recommendation in here that the board revise the personnel policy, adding this rest period section effective this Sunday, starts a rest period. We've all talked about that and talked with payroll. I think everybody's at a place where if it's approved, we're ready to roll out with it and get it in place. I think it'll be an improvement from a safety standpoint as well.
I really love what we're doing with this. My only concern with it is after a 16-hour shift, we're going to give them 8 hours of rest time. Is that enough? I mean, after a 16-hour shift, I would say 10 would be the minimum. I mean, by the time they get in here, clock out, get home, eat, shower,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking, you're already taking 2 hours of that away. I think it needs to be 10, not 8, but that's just me. And I don't mind paying for it. I mean, our employees are our biggest assets, and I very much think we gotta take care of them. I just wanna make sure that they're getting enough rest in between these main breaks or electrics going down and they're out there all night. I mean, 8 hours to me is just not enough. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Oh, I don't know, I kind of see it as, you know, a place to start, and I guess we could always tweak it and change it and make differences. I understand what you're saying, yeah. The other thing, and I guess, you know, there's all kinds of what ifs, but in section B, I was curious, under 16 hours. So I guess a person, if I read that right, could work maybe 14 hours, and then when you get down to B, if they were called back in at 11 p.m. and worked a couple of hours, they wouldn't qualify for a rest period. Is that correct? Because you got to satisfy A, B, and C, all 3 of them.
Right,
Okay.
right.
But again, I think, well, you know, it's a place to start, and you know, I guess you can, you know, where do you start and where do you stop? And I understand that, but I'm certainly, you know, not opposed to 10 either, if you think 10's the right thing.
I think 8 hours would be sleeping hours to recover. I just don't think it allows for eating, showering, just basic
Yeah,
maintenance of your body.
If the work quitted at 1 a.m. and, yeah, if you had any drive time to get home, and then like you're saying, rest and then get back up, you're probably only gonna get maybe 6 hours of sleep.
They're probably going right back to the problem.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love the program. I just was, you know, if I was out there and I was an employee and worked 16 hours, I just don't think 8 hours is enough time to recover.
Is it gonna be on the department heads to oversee these scenarios, or is it gonna, it just seems like, to what you said, there's quite a few different ways this can play out, so,
Yeah, it was difficult to keep it
I
simple.
bet, yeah, and you've done it, it's a really good policy, I don't wanna.
But yes,
say
it would
that.
be on department heads and those who do have foremen,
Okay.
or assistants, those would be the folks. And certainly, I think everybody knows, they're free to call me anytime.
Right.
Need some help talking through a scenario, so.
I'm glad the department heads are in charge of stuff, because they know their employees, they can look at them and go, hey, you're not okay. You know, you don't want someone out there tired.
Well, and I think
wore out on the
the
job.
primary reason for this is safety. Keep
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
from working when they get tired and you know, trying to protect the employees from sometimes themselves, because they don't want to go home. They want to work until it's done. Sometimes you have to go get some rest.
And to that point, I mean, is that, by instituting this, are we going to, you know, extend our outages, because we we have to send our guys home, or, you know, is there gonna be periods when our services are down because our guys,
That's gonna be a tough one. There is mutual aid for water and wastewater, and then when I reviewed it last, I put a little section in there. I mean, you don't wanna get to that point, but at
Right.
some point during that, if you're seeing what you're talking about, you might wanna get on the phone, and that's kind of the department heads.
okay,
You know, he's gotta manage his staff and the outages and determine, you know, am I gonna be able to provide the service to the customers and make sure my staff is safe and rested? And if I can't do that, then I need to call. So,
I don't know if it's perfect, and it's not
I'm
due
sure
to lack
it's
of
not.
effort by any means. I understand
I'm sure
that.
it's
It's been
not.
talking about this for a long time, but starting point, if there's things that need to be changed, you know. I think the concern initially on was that this was gonna cost our people, you know, overtime hours or something along those lines, but reading through it, that's not the case. I mean, it should just benefit.
it's really doing the opposite.
It's
It
really
is, I know, but I
protecting.
think the perception early on was this is being implemented to cut into overtime. But if that's not the case, then that
Yeah,
should put all that to rest.
Megan did a really good job visiting with staff that some of them have been recently affected and
Right.
kind of been through this, and got good feedback. And we talked, you know, and I agree with you and Chad, this is a good starting point, but until we kind of put it into action, you know, then we may see, where we need to tweak it or whatever, whether it's adding, you know, some rest time or whatever. I think this is a good starting point. And for me, it'll address my immediate concerns, which we had last year. We had, with a lot of main breaks, we had guys working a lot of hours, and we were very fortunate. We didn't get anybody hurt, and then they'd have to take off their vacation or benefit time during the day. You know, if they were regularly scheduled, if they needed to sleep to make what they just worked overtime, because it's not automatically overtime. It's over 40 hours, so you still have to have, and if you work 16 hours and you're too tired to show up for your regular shift, you won't get time and a half or something. I think this is fair and addresses those concerns.
How about if we just go ahead and approve it with the option of reviewing it at the end of 6 months and then at the end of one full year to see if we've had some incidents that help tweak this.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that works, Steve.
Oh, yeah, I think we can always come back and,
Yeah.
I don't even know if we need an option, we can always come back and just change it, amend it.
Maybe we
Yeah.
can just keep you updated on it.
Keep
You
us
know,
updated on what's going on.
if we have to use it or anything, we could report back to the board and let you know what worked, what didn't work.
At least that way it's on the books now.
Yeah, as a reminder.
I make a motion to revise the personnel policy adding rest periods as presented effective December 1st, 2020,
2024.
or 20, okay,
Second, on 2024.
whatever we're at.
We have a motion and a second to revise the personnel policy, adding rest periods as presented, effective on December the 1st, 2024. All those in favor? Opposed? Thanks for all your work on that.
Thank you all. Only other thing, I just wanted to congratulate some folks in electric production, Danny Lear, Randy Souther, Darren Boston, and Michael Mullins on being selected employees of the quarter. Other than that, I'd be happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Megan? Thank you.
Thank you.
Jared, good morning.
Morning. I did get an email this morning from Ethos. The row 5 blades of the compressor section failed testing. There are new blades in stock, so it's not going to affect the timeline. What I'm not sure of yet is the difference between what we budgeted for repairs on the old ones versus budget for the new ones. Do have a meeting with them this afternoon, hoping to get that a little more figured out. But it should not affect timeline any. The rotor is moving along well, and I think they have made up a little time from what they originally thought on that. They kind of keep chipping away at it and closing
selling any cardboard, any
I
recyclables?
didn't sell any this month. Price did go down a little bit. 110 for cardboard and 90 for paper. We only had, at the time, we only had one load on the floor, so we got plenty of
Got
room.
room.
I didn't sell any this week.
It's good price for paper.
Is it still across the east?
Been a long
sorry,
time
is it
since
still-
paper's been that high.
Europe somewhere, or is it?
No, this is all in Houston.
This is in Houston.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
Yachting back up.
Yeah.
He shipped a bunch when we had good prices.
Anything else for Gary? Thank you, Gary. Doug, good morning.
Morning.
Nothing to update or add to the board packet, but I'll be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
Anything for Doug? Thank you, Doug. Jim?
He was not here today.
Looks like some installs.
Yep, and he's got those, the next 4 areas of bids, ready to be sent out. I think Jennifer got a bid opening date this morning, so.
All right, thank you, Jim. Eric, good morning.
Morning. Just one update. I'm expecting to get a couple more quotes on the waste aeration windows next week. I'm meeting with a contractor on Monday on those. Other than that, I'll be happy to answer any more questions.
How's the demo of the UV going?
Good. We've got most everything demoed except for some concrete we need to bust out. I think Pat Ward's guys got most all the electrical pulled on it. So it's rolling along well.
How long do we got? April?
Yeah, April 1st is when we have to be up and running.
That'll be done.
Anything more for Eric? Tony, morning.
Morning. I don't have anything to really add, but would be happy to answer any questions.
Training go good yesterday?
Yeah, it's good. Our customer service hasn't really had much training as far as navigating and just trying to prepare them in case customers call and like, hey, I need to change my credit card number on there. So it was only about an hour long, but it was, I think, beneficial. Good. And that survey with the city, that's something I do annually. It's something the city's required to do, but a big portion of that's utility related. So they send it over to me to kind of fill that out, and then I send it back over to Amy and to submit. So.
Anything for Tony? Thank you, Tony. Jeff, morning.
Morning, gentlemen. I do have one action item this morning. The meadows at Harvest Creek, I think I've shared a little bit of the information about that subdivision with you guys previously. It has passed the subdivision advisory board. It was approved last week's planning and zoning. I think they approved that. So if they're getting down to where council approval will be their final hurdle over there. The builder has made a couple requests. I've discussed those with department heads, with Doug, and then with Grant. And we think those, there's not anything there that's going to create any problems. So it's kind of up to the board if you want to allow the developer to put the water main in, and then do all the excavation for the electric, and us install and provide the electrical and broadband conduit. And he's gonna go pretty fast. So he's talking about having, potentially, 100 homes built in a matter of years. So go pretty quick. And these homes will be all electric as well. So I think, a little give and take on that, electric sides. Certainly, you can justify it, in my mind, by the revenue that that'll create.
So, just so I'm clear, we would incur the cost of the electric conduit and the fiber conduit, that'd be on us, and the labor to install it. And that's an exception to our policy. We normally
Correct.
require them.
Normally, they would install it. What I'm kinda getting is I don't think he feels comfortable installing it, because in places they've worked before, the utility's done it, everybody's got a different practice. And he said, I'll do all the digging, you guys won't have to do anything, but I think he's wanting to make sure the conduit's purchased and installed, and I think Doug figured up a number on that. It was like $40,000, about a $40,000 ask.
He doesn't want to pay us for the conduit and the labor. He doesn't want to reimburse
No,
us.
he won't reimburse us, he'll just
Okay.
do all the excavation.
Being all electric, that's gonna cost out pretty quick.
And like I said, I think it was about a $40,000, and we won't have to dedicate too many people to it. I think Jim's gonna have maybe one guy out there. Grant will obviously have to have somebody inspecting the water and the sewer. He's gonna run 3 crews, one installing sewer, one installing water, and one installing electric. Go pretty fast.
As long as you guys have reviewed the plans and you don't see where it's gonna lead to any future issues, then I don't wanna get in the way of progress. With that, I'll make a motion to approve the request from Mark Rowden for MMU to supply and install the electrical conduit with all excavation done by the developer.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the request from Mark Rowden for MMU to supply and install the electrical conduit with all excavation done by the developer. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That being said, we gotta have a motion for the water, a motion for the fiber too.
The water, if you read that, the developer can install the main with approval from the general manager, but the board needs to be notified. So unless you guys have any problem with me approving it, I'll just, like I say, Grant and I have talked, and really with all the water main projects and all these materials we're having on this water infrastructure grant wouldn't have time anyway, probably, so that's gonna work out pretty good.
And he will supply the materials for the water main.
And the sewer,
Yeah.
yeah. He's gonna have, I think the sewer main, there's gonna be well over $1 million in just utility infrastructure. I think the sewer's close to $750,000. I mean, he's got a lot of skin in the game. So I think
Storm drains, is he putting storm drains in?
storm drains, detention ponds, streets, curb and gutter, everything. And hopefully, again, that's still, but at least we've got our part done, but there's still some approval on the city side. But if he gets that, then we should be ready to go. He won't have to wait on us. I don't like anybody waiting on us if we can avoid it.
So do you just need a consensus? I mean, it sounds like it's part of our policy that we do allow them to put in the water main.
Yeah, I don't even think we need a consensus. It's just a matter of you guys knowing about it and giving you that opportunity if you had objections to, have us do it. So, any other questions on that? Just some updates on the MEC Marshall Generation Project. Did get a hold of the railroad, so that's in process. I'm trying to figure out some of those clearances. I've started the planning and zoning, the replat process for that. I'm kind of waiting on some direction there on the street vacancies. We want to do them on the front end of the replat or the back end. And then I'm waiting on doing some water, stormwater plans for it, working with the engineer in the city's engineer as well. Did get, as you guys know in the last meeting, some reimbursement from DNR. I think there's another 1.6 million that's ready. I'm gonna try, you're only allowed to submit one request for reimbursement a month. So next month or next week, I'll hit them up with that other reimbursement request. So hopefully, we should be getting close to really starting to see that turn the corner there, so, which is good. Did meet with another developer, looking to build on some infill lots. There's a lot going on in housing, which I think is good. And I just want to Grant and Eric, those projects, North Street Pump Station and the aeration basin project, both got awards from the Design Build Institute, which they don't just hand those out. So just want to send my appreciation to, Eric's staff and Grant's staff for all the hard work they did on those projects, because, without our staff, I don't think, they'd turned out like they did.
Congratulations.
That's great. And I don't have anything else to add, be happy to try to answer any questions.
Anything for Jeff? Next is cash disbursements. You only had a couple of things there.
Yeah.
Motion to approve cash disbursements.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the cash disbursements as presented. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Just one other comment. I did follow up with the person that, their water had the complaint, and they said it has cleared up, so I'm sure it was that conversion that was upsetting them. Yeah. So they said it's fine now. And I'm assuming the water tower's all back in, operation, everything's fine. Okay. All right, looks like our next board meeting is Wednesday, December the 11th, I think 8:30?
And that will be at is that the one we're gonna have at the office?
Yes.
And that will be at the old office.
Yeah, okay,
And IT will have that set up so we can live stream it.
okay. That work for everyone? All right. Guess next is, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?